And today, we have so many Islamic fanatics who actually preach through social media, through YouTube, and they are based in London, they're based in Paris. They don't only advocate for a peaceful Islam, actually they are just preaching very dangerous, radical ideologies, and they are protected by the freedom of speech. But there has to be a limit.
It's not too often that we have an opportunity to get a window look into our enemy, into our enemy's ideology, and try to understand and wrap our minds around what is with our enemies, why do they hate us so much. Please listen in to this discussion with Douglas Murray and Mosab, the son of one of the founders of Hamas, who was able to free himself from Hamas and gives us a chance to have a level of understanding of what is behind the veil, what is really going on, and how do we deal with it. Let's watch this together and then we'll discuss it afterwards. Kindly subscribe to this channel so that a little bit of light will push away a lot of darkness.
Speaking with you almost 10 years ago now, after a set of attacks in France, in Paris, there was the Charlie Hebdo attacks, the attack on a kosher supermarket, then the attacks when dozens of jihadists rampaged through Paris, massacred people at the Bataclan Theatre and the stadium and coffee shops. And I remember then asking you about, what does it take for the West to wake up to this reality? Because, you're aware of this reality because you grew up and you saw it firsthand, and you were a very unusual person in thinking your way out of it, which, is incredibly unusual. I would say that most Israelis today understand the reality that there's a group or groups of people who say, we want to kill you, and if they get the opportunity, they do. But the rest of the West seems to me, even all these years after we spoke about it, still is in a sleep. What would you say to Emmanuel Macron, Rishi Sunak, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris? What would you say to them to communicate to them that this is real?
One of the biggest contributors to terrorism and violence actually hypocrites. Because when we are hypocrites, we're not calling things for what they are. We see the Islamists' threat. We see what they're capable of doing. And when I say CIA, FBI, Homeland Security, other intelligence services in the West, most democracies in the West, they know the ideological dimension that motivates terrorists and terrorist attacks. But we prefer not to talk about it because it's Islamophobic, or because it's controversial, or we may offend the Muslims. So now we're submitting to their intimidation when we don't talk about it, when we don't challenge it, that this is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. Life depends on diversity. And the different is appreciated. Yes, we should have human discipline because we are not animals. But also we don't want someone acting as a sword of God, because then everybody would think that they have this authority, and the only outcome is bloodshed. We have the Muslims who live in the West, and I think there is no problem with that in principle. But don't enforce your religious identity, and when they do, we have to counter it. Like, for example, we cannot separate church and state and allow mosque and state to be united. We cannot just stay asleep while watching the Islamic hubs produce more extremists. And today, we have so many Islamic fanatics who actually preach through social media, through YouTube, and they are based in London. They're based in Paris, and they don't only advocate for a peaceful Islam. Actually, they are just preaching very dangerous, radical ideologies. The Muslim Brotherhood ideologies that is anti-West, that is anti-civilization, that is representing the 7th century mentality as an alternative to the modern world. And they are protected by the freedom of speech. But there has to be a limit to where you can preach such sick ideology. And I think most of the leaders are afraid, whether they are ignorant of the topic or they have short-term interest and they don't want to compromise this interest. They don't want to offend Muslim countries like Saudi Arabia or like Qatar. They have their own calculations, but in the meantime, we cannot hide from the challenge because Islamists are in the West, and they are waiting for an angry cause. And this is the dangerous thing about the Palestine. This is why one of the reasons that I came back and I came very strong against the pro-Palestine, because it's not about Palestine. There is no such a thing as Palestine. It's anti-West, and it's looking for an angry cause. Yeah. And the more anger they are able to generate, they're creating the climate for those individuals who have been waiting to act. So I don't want to say, what are we waiting for? Like another major terrorist attack? Then we are going to understand that we have an enemy within. I hope we don't get to that point. But let me tell you something. From my personal experience, when they start first shouting from the river to the sea, calling for Jewish genocide, it was no time before chaos. And it became suicide bombing attacks, became stabbings, it became mass shootings, it became, everywhere became a target. And Palestine is chaos. Islam is chaos. And of course, this is very hard to say, but I hope that we don't get to the point to see the things going completely out of control, to realize that we have individuals among us that we really need to leash, that they cannot take advantage of the freedom. There is a limit. You cannot advocate on behalf of terrorists and terrorist ideology by the name of freedom of speech. It's not acceptable.
You can't use freedom in a society to shut down freedom.
Absolutely, but because it's very hard to draw the line, and many people take advantage of this. Take, for example, after 9/11, Muslims went into the hiding for almost a decade or more than this. They just hiding their identity. And after October 7, it was just next day they start demonstrating against Israel and against the West.
In New York, in London, in Paris, everywhere.
Within a week, they showed so much aggression. And again, this is the bloodlust that I told you about, which is very strange. You look 9/11 and you look October 7, and what's after? Totally different outcomes. So why all this? And this hatred against the Jews that is attracting actually many Westerners who might have something in common, that they are all anti-Semites. And this is what's bringing the Islamists and the communists and could be the socialists even to work together. They have something in common, and that is their hatred towards Israel. But what Many Westerners are not understanding that this is not only anti-Israel, it's anti-success and it's anti-civilization. It's pro-chaos. This type of individuals and this type of movements, they thrive in chaos. They don't like order. In order, they die. And this is why they want to see more of the chaos.
Mosab hasn't.
And these are one of the points that he brings out. People are trying to analyze and trying to figure out, why do they hate us so much? Why is there so much hate? Why can't we just coexist? You believe what you want to believe. I believe what I want to believe. And we can still love each other. Look at the, the Judeo-Christian alliance. How we realize that we both serve the same God. We have different theological faith systems, where Judaism is monotheism, believes only in God, the creator of the world, versus Christianity has a different faith system. But it doesn't mean just because I don't accept what you believe that I have to behead you. So when you think about it, what is the bottom line? And Mosab said something very intuitively. He said, it's the success of the Jewish people. It's the success of Israel that they cannot bear. They cannot bear the fact that Israel is just 77 years old. It came from the worst case scenario. It came from the ashes of the Holocaust. After losing 6 million of our own blood, brothers and sisters, every survivor has lost their whole life, legacies. Human beings who have been decimated to just bare bones survived, came to Israel, and turned Israel into a superpower, multifunctional country, not only to take care of its own, but it also takes care of 2 million Arabs that are living there. And it also has become a light unto the nations. Its advances in agriculture, in electronics and technology and education and arts, in cooking and language and mental health, and you just name it. Israel's at the cutting edge of advancing it. And they take it to the limit. And then when Israel has innovations and inventions, it doesn't keep it for itself. It provides it to the world. Companies throughout the world try to buy out Israeli companies because of their accomplishments. Look how many Nobel Prize winners came out of Israel. This is what they don't like. Well, try to compare any other country that began in 1948. See what they have been able to accomplish in 77 years. You have countries who choose to remain in the 7th century mentality, literally, figuratively. And then you have Israel, who's living in the 21st century. That is quite the difference. And perhaps that is where all the hatred is from. Or not even jealousy, just hatred. They just cannot stand that Jews who were so decimated and so fragmented and so destroyed in the Holocaust had what it took to land on its feet. Again and again and again, every country who despised the Jewish people and expelled them, wherever they landed on their feet. And the reason is because we are people of the book. We are people of God. Our love to God is not dependent on what happens to us. Whether it's good, bad, or the ugly, our connection to God is always solid. From the days of Egypt, living through over 200 years of torturous slavery by Pharaoh, traveling in the desert for 40 years, finally making it to Israel and fighting off every enemy along the way. We were laser focused on serving God with unconditional love and having unconditional faith in God, no matter what comes our way. But always remembering the reason why we are here in this world is because we are a partner in creation. The reason why we were created, why we were born, is because God chose us. That the day we were born, God said the world can no longer exist without us. So that we have a purpose, we have a meaning. Our journey in life is not just to eat, sleep, and live and die, but our journey in life is to live and to accomplish and to be a contributor to society and to be a contributor to humanity and do whatever we can to help humanity. We are all created in God's image and we all have a mission and we all have the talents and the abilities to fulfill the mission. And we must not squander away the time and not realizing that a day has gone by that I haven't done something for humanity, I haven't done something for God, I haven't done something for the world, because we all have something that we can do for the world. We all have a talent, we all have a gift, we all have an ability to help another person. And when we are out and about and we have a choice to use our words to positively lift up someone's spirits, to compliment someone, to see something positive in someone, and to be the one to just bring a smile to another person, you have accomplished your mission on this world. You have accomplished something that day, and we should never underestimate our reach and our ability of doing random acts of goodness and kindness. Let's pray, and we hope that we should be able to outweigh with all of our random acts of goodness and kindness, because a little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness, how much more a lot of light, and ultimately we'll see better and greater times to come. God bless you. God loves you.